The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert, and we are ready to bring you some feel good vibes this morning after a pretty long holiday weekend for Jacky and I. Our feel good topic of the day is Bermuda Night at the 2021 U.S. Open, and we have Charles Jeffers II backstage, who is ready to join us for that conversation. And our feel good vibe of the day is none other than joke time with Jacky. So if you want to laugh to get your morning started and continue on with this short work week, make sure you stick around for that. Now, before we get into today's episode, before we get into all of that good jazz, actually, we want to start with our feel good warm-up of the day. And Jacky and I went live last evening to kind of preface this. So if you missed the live last night on Instagram, that's fine, because we're going to continue talking about it right now. So our question is, what are your thoughts on the fact that just last week we celebrated, our teachers going back to school for their first day, and it looks like our students might not get that same experience? So let us know in the comments what you think about that. Jacky and I are going to share what our thoughts are on it, and we'd love to see what you all think in the audience. But before we get into that, good morning, Kathy, and good morning to Sean Smith. If you're joining us, do make sure you drop a good morning greeting in the comments. Jacky, what are your thoughts on the fact that we didn't see the first day photos like we're used to seeing? Like it looked like it wasn't even first day of school for some people yesterday.
It's sad. I feel sorry for them. Like, I really want to see my god babies in their uniform, smiling and excited. I know MSA went in yesterday, and I got a few of those from my friend's children, so that was exciting. But then to know that my godchildren are supposed to go in tomorrow to Somerset Primary, and they're not going now.
Yeah, it's remote learning.
Yeah. Summersfield, I know they're trying to do their first day today. It would be nice if those who have already tested negative can at least go to the school and stand in front of the school and be like, first day of school, and then go home. I don't know what that would look like for the parents, but it would be nice to at least get your first day, get some use of your uniforms, because you have your gym uniform, you have your regular school uniform, and it would be nice if they could at least go to school on the premises, snap a few photos, like it's the actual first day, and then scataboosh.
Yeah, and I guess so. To your point, not everyone did start their first day just yet, but it looks like, especially most public schools, if not all public schools, are supposed to be doing remote learning as of tomorrow. So, that's a bummer. I mean, we are living in a panorama, so we definitely get the fact that it's not going to look the same, as we're not going to have the same experiences that we're used to having. I just think it's kind of unfortunate, because I'm pretty sure most teachers were preparing for in person. I think that would probably have been what they were assuming would happen. And then to get remote learning notification like the Tuesday before school's supposed to start, that's like a complete 180 from what they had been preparing probably for since last week. Possibly some of them, obviously, probably teachers don't really take days off. I don't think, even though they got summer off, I would be shocked to know that a teacher didn't think about anything related to education. So I agree. I definitely feel like it's a somber first week of school, we can say, for some folks, because we're not seeing the pictures like we used to. We're not gonna see the pictures like we're used to seeing. I think did last year some folks do pictures like in their homes, so like, or in their yards. I feel like I saw that.
And then some people did in their yards. I know there's at least 2 or 3 companies that could probably come and decorate your yard. You have the yard cards, yard.
Oh, I haven't seen that company.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find the link and then we can post it later. But they do they set up your yard to wish you happy birthday and congratulations for the drive-bys. And then I know you have Akil Dara, he was just posted in Royal Gazette. His is Hot Air Designs. So I don't know if you want to do a little balloon garland or something like that for your little children. Yeah, that'd be nice. But like I said, I think
your school colors too.
Exactly. And I think I do still think it'll be nice to do like a little drive-by photo shoot action at your school. They have to do something. I just don't understand why they didn't have a plan B and C and D.
So look, we actually have a comment. So let's talk about that. So Sean Smith says, okay, I'm somewhat out of touch with what's going on in Bermuda, but what happened for the schools to be closed to the students? So what happened is yesterday, the results were 225 positive cases total. And of 113, I might misquote some of the numbers, but I know over 100 staff are affected. And that impacted 39 schools. We can confirm the numbers when we find the link, but I do remember Bar News posted like some of that summary. So basically our schools are being impacted by the amount of cases and close contacts, because we're not saying that, all the positives are in the school system, but, with Bermuda, they do the whole contact tracing. And so if you're a close contact, they make it mandatory for you to quarantine. And then, the regulations go down from there on like who has to quarantine for what reason, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, after the teachers got started last week, it was like a false start. This week for the students, because they're starting with remote learning, which I don't know, maybe it was just wishful thinking that they would be able to go back to school, especially off the back of the BFA releasing that, the Dudley Eve was canceled. So that whole entire weekend of activities and tonight's event was canceled. So it's like, maybe this is foreshadowing of what's to come. I hope not. So let us know, your thoughts on it. Jackie and I obviously shared ours. I see we have Anika DeShields in the building. So good morning to you, Nashika. And so it looks like she says this as well. She says, not just the schools, but the parents or guardians, their colleagues and places of employment. Right. So it's not just the schools that are impacted. It's definitely a community impact. But with schools starting and a lot of parents like really excited to get their kids, back to school because they dealt with the entire
my hair.
Yep. Like you see the gifs of the parents like with the like cars like squealing to drop them off and like we're leaving, see you later. So it's definitely we're here again. We are here again, and definitely hoping that the students that didn't have access to computers and devices last year were able to get access to those computers and devices. Because if we're starting with remote learning, do we even have an inventory of how many students have the proper material?
Probably the same as last year.
I'm just going to sip my tea on that one. So as you're joining us, do let us know your thoughts on the fact that, our schools have been impacted. And as Anika mentioned, the parents and guardians are impacted as well. So some folks that cannot work from home are possibly having to, consider taking time off. What does that look like for those parents? So let us know in the comments. We're actually going to take a quick commercial break, and then we are going to come back with our topic of the day, which is Bermuda Night at the 2021 U.S. Open. So if you have been enjoying the tennis talk that Jack and I have been having over the last couple of weeks, then you definitely want to make sure that you stick around for that. Jack and I will be right back.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert. And if you're just joining us, our focus topic of the day is Bermuda Night at the 2021 U.S. Open. Backstage, we have Charles Jeffers II, the CEO of the Bermuda Tourism Authority. And we are going to, before we bring him in, though, we kind of want to get our audience involved. We want to ask you to drop any travel-related emoji in the comments or the Bermuda flag. So if you have a favorite travel emoji, it could be the airplane, it could be the globe. They have a suitcase emoji, right? I feel like they do.
Say yes.
You can probably just start typing the word suitcase and maybe the emoji will come up. But if all else fails, drop the Bermuda flag emoji as we bring in Charles. So good morning, Charles.
Good morning, ladies. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
We're good.
I like that color. I like that color.
It's giving very Bermuda. It's giving very Bermuda.
This is my wake up Charles color. It's early over here.
We love it. Are you in the U.S.?
I am in the U.S.
Okay, so yes, it is definitely, I would say the East Coast. I'm going to definitely assume the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm in New York. I'm in.
Okay.
It's 6:11 over there.
Perfect. 6:11.
Yes. Perfect, because we didn't want it to be that much earlier. So, Charles.
Late night. So.
Oh, right. We're definitely going to get into all of that.
Hanging out with the Lamberts. I was hanging out with the Lamberts last night.
Yes, my parents are
totally
up there.
Definitely knew that to be true. So, Charles, as the CEO of the BTA, what does a day in the life look like for you?
You're experiencing now early mornings and late nights. I can tell you that. That's been a consistent theme over these last several months. But I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying being home and having the opportunity to serve my country. So it's a labor of love.
Love it.
So the BTA is an official partner of the U.S. Open. How did that come about? Like, what was the driver behind this partnership?
Well, I must give credit to my predecessor, Kevin Dallas, and the team for putting this partnership together a couple of years ago. This is the third year of our agreement, and really the impetus for this is Bermuda actually introduced tennis to the United States, and so it made perfect sense for us to participate as a sponsor of the U.S. Open, and so here we are. Last year, obviously because of the pandemic, we really didn't get what we would have liked out of it, but this year we are hoping to exceed any expectations that we had.
Now, you say you didn't get what you would like out of it. What do you mean by that? What are you trying to accomplish with being a partner?
So, with events like this, we have tickets, courtside seats the first week, and then the second week we have a suite where it allows us to entertain clients, potential clients, celebrities who can help us to get eyes on our suite and on Bermuda. And so last year with the pandemic, we weren't able to do any of that. But this year, we have a number of celebrities and clients and potential clients that we're entertaining this week.
And I just want to remind the audience, if you have any questions for Charles, because, tourism is supposed to be one of our top earners in our GDP for our economy. So if you have any burning questions that you want to ask about tourism, now is the time, because we have the CEO right in front of us, and it's very seldom that, you find yourself in those circles. So ask questions. Over to you, Jack.
So now we have celebrities, we have everybody that you're saying that you get to entertain. How do you get to sell Bermuda? Because obviously we have the beautiful beaches, the water, the people. I mean, we're gorgeous. But what is your selling point? How do you get to sell Bermuda versus, say getting them to go to Bahamas? Because obviously people like the Bahamas as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just mentioned it. I mean, our people are number one. But I always say people come to Bermuda for the beaches, but they come back for the people, and that's where we all play a part. Not just those of us at the BTA, but every single Bermudian or even resident of Bermuda plays a role in helping our tourism economy by being just who we are, the good people that we are. That in the old days, I used to say this all the time. In the old days, you would never see a tourist just standing on the street corner looking lost without a Bermudian coming up to them and helping them. And some people say that we've sort of gotten away from that, but I don't think so. I hear stories all the time about Bermudians going out of their way to help our visitors.
Now, would you say sports tourism is is going to be a thing, making a comeback? Because obviously you're at one of the biggest sporting events, and I know, listening to my father, and back in the day, colleges used to come down and they used to actually play their one-on-one matches with other colleges. They used to have that in Bermuda because typically it's spring break in tennis, they'll go and play other colleges. Is that something that you're trying to implement again, trying to draw back in?
Yeah, so sports tourism is huge. And what I love about it is that it allows the athletes to come to a place like Bermuda and see, and experience the greatness of Bermuda and all that we have to offer. But it also encourages their family and friends to join them in Bermuda. And so it's not just the athletes who usually come, but it's their family and friends as well. But yes, so we are making a concerted effort to bring as many sports events to Bermuda as we can. As you all know, we had SailGP earlier this year. We may not have a lot of land, but we certainly have a lot of water, and it's picturesque. And so the SailGP folks were here earlier, and they are anxious to come back. So we're working with them on that. But also, we have the World Triathlon coming up in a couple of weeks. Following that, we have the PGA tournament. And then we also have the Black Golf Week that's also going to be held in Bermuda. So we are full of sporting events that we're looking to host. And then I haven't even mentioned the race weekend, which is in January. And then, other sporting events, whether you're a professional or just a hacker like me in golf and or tennis, you can come to Bermuda and enjoy those games.
First of all, I'm not an athlete. Everyone knows this. I have made that declaration on this show plenty of times. Jackie is the athlete, but just hearing about the different events that we have that are coming up around sports, because as Jackie shared and as you mentioned, we have other things to offer on our island that our people are interested in and that tourists are interested in. So it's great to see that we have a holistic approach, it looks like, to our sports tourism, which, as someone who knows nothing about sports other than being a spectator and heckling people, I definitely appreciate the fact that we have options.
People,
I have
not
options.
An athlete.
That's the best kind of heckler.
It is. Well,
I don't know what I'm talking about, but it sounds right. I just got to sound convincing. See, that's the trick. You just got to convince them that you know what you're saying and get it in their head. Yeah. We have a question from Sean.
I do want to say this, though. I'm sorry. Even though you may not be an athlete, there is ways for you to participate. Like for the World Triathlon, for instance, we need hundreds of volunteers to help us with that. We can't just put that on our own. And so we would love for anyone who has the time to volunteer to participate during that week, because we really need as many people as possible to help us with that. And that's it. You don't have to do the whole weekend. You can do just one session, and you'll get a cool shirt if you do that. So hopefully people will.
That's a plug.
Yeah.
So I need a shirt and an umbrella.
You want an umbrella too?
That's what
I'm going to be volunteering in the sun. I need a shirt to look good and an umbrella to stay cool. Be cool with the cool,
all right. I'll talk to the committee.
I love it. So actually, we have a question from the audience. Sean Smith wants to know, what is Bermuda's overall marketing message to the world? I remember in the past, it was the newlywed, nearly dead. I don't know what that last part's about, but he also asks, what do you see as our niche?
So, as you may have heard, we recently hired a company out of Boston, Proverb, which is actually was founded by a Bermudian, Darren Bascom, who actually was with us last night. But they are going to be helping us with our story. So I don't want to get out in front of that process, but I'm with you, Sean, in that we really need to figure out what our story is, and we need to be telling that story as a community. And so over the next several weeks and months, we're going to be engaging Bermudians on island and off island, residents who are currently in Bermuda, and those who may have left Bermuda, and then especially our visitors or potential visitors, to understand what our story is, and so how we can tell it as a community.
I love that, because Jacky and I have what did we do? So the first thing that Jacky and I did for the show was Crystal Caves.
Yeah.
So we tried a little experience, and for Jacky and I, it had definitely been over 5 years. We can't remember how long it had been since we went to Crystal Caves, but for us, that was a great experience. And so, in your opinion, like, what are some ways that locals can continue to help the tourism product that the BTA is looking for to put out there to the rest of the world? Like, what can we do on island to help, get behind the message and that what it is that you all are trying to do?
Yeah. Well, I would say this. I think doing exactly what you all did is a great way to do that. Is by going and visiting some of those attractions that many of us haven't visited since we were in school, and going and experiencing them, because then you can talk with some authority about those things to see and do, and also supporting our local. Of course, our restaurants. It warms my heart to see people having their staycations at hotels, and I saw something the other day where there was a family who lived in Somerset, and they went and spent the weekend at Grotto Bay, and they had days in St. George's where they were exploring the old town. And so I think things like that is one way to help, by going out and experiencing what a tourist would experience. As you all know, I lived away for almost 30 years, and every time I would come home, I would try to do something touristy, whether it's taking a ferry or going to an attraction or doing something that a visitor would do. And so I would encourage other Bermudians to do that as often as you can.
We second that. Jacky and I second that.
Yeah. Talking about staycations, and as you know, the CEO of BTA, do you guys have it in your budget to maybe do giveaways, work with other hotels and other tourist industries to maybe do giveaways to our locals, just to help get that out there?
Yeah.
And the ball rolling.
We've talked about that, and is it in our budget? It's not necessarily something that we budgeted for, but it's something that we can encourage. And it's always hard with giveaways, because especially over this past year, many of the hotels have suffered. Restaurants and attractions have all suffered. The industry has been decimated, not just in Bermuda but worldwide. And so nothing is ever free, right? Somebody's paying for it, and somewhere along the line. And so that's a difficult one. What we can certainly do, and many hotels have already done this, have done discounted rates for locals, so that locals can come in and experience what they have to offer.
Which I have seen. I haven't experienced it just yet, but I have seen the staycation offers. So I hope that they carry it on, into the fall and the winter, so that I can possibly do one myself. But I want to go back to the U.S. Open, the partnership that we have with them. Today is Bermuda Day / Bermuda Night. So what is that event? What can locals on the island do to participate? And what will it look like over there in New York?
Yeah. So one of the things that the U.S. Open does is, for their sponsors, they dedicate a night for each of them. I think last night was Emirates night, and so Emirates was out there doing giveaways and celebrating, or their partnership with the U.S. Open. So tonight is Bermuda Night, and we will have several young men walking around in their Bermuda shorts and long socks, and doing giveaways, and just really promoting Bermuda to all the fans who come in. And then, excuse me, in our suite tonight, we're going to have Flora Duffy and her husband Dan will be there, as well as several other surprise guests who will join us throughout the evening. And so these are all things that, again, will hopefully bring attention to our suite. And, if you've ever been to the U.S. Open, they have big screens. And so they'll show who's in suites and who's there. And they'll even show some of that on the broadcast, which is on ESPN. So I would invite Bermudians to tune in to that tonight so they can see what's going on. But also there's an opportunity for Bermudians to participate on island, by going to several restaurants. Several restaurants have offered to participate by serving the official drink of the U.S. Open, which is the Honey Deuce. And you can go to Boundary Sports Bar and Grill up in Southampton Princess, Outback Sports Bar, Front Yard, Crown and Anchor at Hamilton Princess, and Whitehorse Pub and Restaurant. Any of those restaurants, if you go to those tonight, and if you're wearing Flora Duffy gear or what is it, U.S. Open something, or I can't even remember what the other. Bermuda or Flora gear, you'll get a free drink, and so I would encourage you to do that. That drink is made with Grey Goose, which is the official spirit of the U.S. Open. So I would encourage you all to go out and participate and watch us live from the U.S. Open tonight.
And just a reminder, if you do have a sip or two, make sure you have a designated driver. We do not promote drinking then driving. So make sure you drink responsibly. Our taxi drivers are out there. The industry has been hit hard. Secure yourself a taxi if you must, because we would love you to see you. We would love to have you watching us tomorrow. So just remember, we know Bermudians love a little tutty, so we're just trying to remind you that the taxi drivers are available. Okay, they will definitely come pick you up from whatever side of the island you are on. We definitely know that the dispatch are waiting for your calls.
That's very responsible of you, Terry. I appreciate you doing
that. No problem at all. So we actually have a question because Jack and I wanted to know, when we did our research, we saw that this started back in 2019, and one of the things that a lot of young Bermudians are concerned about is like, okay, we're doing all these things, but do we see the number of visitors for all of these things that we're doing? So we have this question from Jamal. He asks, has the partnership with the U.S. Open increased visitors to Bermuda, and what's the BTA's plan to get Bermuda out of the current state due to the pandemic?
Well, first, as you said, this started in 2019, and we all know what happened in 2020. So has this increased visitors to Bermuda? Not immediately. But, as I mentioned earlier, what we try to do during this time is entertain clients and potential clients to build relationships with them, so that in the future we can bring more visitors to Bermuda. One of the things that people don't understand is that nobody just wakes up one morning and says, okay, I'm going to bring this group to Bermuda. Sometimes it can take months, even years of building a relationship and gaining their trust. Because when you're bringing a group, whether it's 10 people or 10,000 people anywhere, you're putting yourself out there, and so you need to build that trust, and you need to in the destination, and then hopefully, over this time, we will see the rewards from having things like this in the next several years. So Immediately, no, we have not seen an increase because of what's happened over the last year. But I can tell you that, just from some of the conversations that I've had with some of the potential clients, I can tell you we will see something from this over the next couple of years. But, it's not just one thing, right? I mean, this may be one big thing that we're doing, but it's several things, and anybody who's been in sales, that it takes time to build relationships and to also build, as I said earlier, gain the trust of your potential client.
Yeah, we got our nurture our audience. Definitely been seeing that in the whole marketing space. Nurture that audience, attract them, connect with them. We got to do all the things before they actually decide, okay, yes, I want to go to Bermuda.
Yeah.
So
it does take all of that. It takes, as you said, nurturing them. As I said, it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes the building of relationships.
Absolutely.
So Charles, when I used to travel and represent Bermuda, I used to be able to come to you guys and get the drawstring bags and the little pins so that when I finish my match, I could exchange with the other countries. Is that something that we can still do? Because I know that our team is supposed to travel on the 25th or so down to DR, and it's going to be a lot of other countries there. And I know that I've had a lot of people come to visit Bermuda through my travels. Is that something that we can still come in and you guys can facilitate?
So we do have a limited supply of things right now that we've been giving to people who have been traveling. But as I mentioned earlier, we are in the process of going through a brand study. And so we're hesitant to go out and buy new things right now because we don't know what our brand is going to look like in the next few months. So if you reach out to me, Jackie, or someone on our team, we can probably help you with that, provided you don't need hundreds of things. Right?
No, like maybe 30.
Okay, all right.
That sounds like a more doable number, Jack. I definitely, because if you is getting in the hundreds, like it's a panorama, Jackie. Calm down. We gotta start small. Small.
Yeah.
So Charles,
trying to get that out there.
I want to follow up with this question because I've personally asked this, I know, on the Daily Hour, and we have a question from Anika DeShields. So she asks, how does Bermuda compete with other islands to ourselves? Is the price to vacation here comparable? And I want to include the, because I know you mentioned the potential partnership with the other points of the triangle. So if you could kind of elaborate more a little bit on that and to her question directly.
Yeah. So yes, we have been talking about collaborating with the other points in the triangle, which are Miami and Puerto Rico, which I think I've mentioned on the Daily Hour. I know both of those CEOs very well, and so I'm hopeful that we can establish some sort of partnership with them. And then as far as us competing with our neighbors to the south, it's I get this question all the time, and do we compete with them? Yes, because one of the things that we compete with them on, people don't know where Bermuda is. People think that we're a lot closer to our neighbors to the south than we are. And so, we have to figure out ways to differentiate ourselves. And one is on location, but another is on value, right? And, I'm not going to disparage our neighbors to the south, but Bermuda's different. And we need to be selling ourselves as being different than those other places. And so, we need to emphasize our strengths, but recognize our weaknesses and work on those weaknesses. We're not a perfect destination, and hopefully, over these next several months, as we're going through our rebranding, it will encourage Bermudians to raise their game within their businesses. Our service levels, could always use work, and so I think there's an opportunity for us to reposition ourselves as a destination. And then the price thing is always something that comes up. But one of the things that I would like to see us do is, we will never be able to compete with those all-inclusive destinations, resorts in many of those islands. But I think Bermuda can and should be marketing itself as an all-inclusive island, right? And there's an opportunity for us to do that. Bermuda's only 22 miles long, but I would love to see us have a set price where someone can go from Dockyard to St. George's and be able to enjoy Bermuda, at a set price. What that looks like, I'm not sure. I have some ideas that we've been talking about internally, but we will see what comes out of this brand study and how we can reposition ourselves as a destination moving forward.
Love it. And so as we wrap up, Charles, I have one final question from the audience that I want to include with the final question. So Sean Smith asks, are there any low-hanging fruits that can get visitors to Bermuda in the immediate future while working on the long-term strategy? And in addition to that, could you let us know what's up next for the BTA? So after the US Open wraps up, what is the next thing that you're going to be focusing on?
Yeah. So to answer Sean's question, first, yes, there are low-hanging fruits, and we're doing that through our sports tourism. I mentioned about the Black Golfers Weekend, Black Golfers Week, which is coming up in November, and that's something that we've never done before, and it's something that we're targeting a specific audience, and yes, we've gotten some questions about should we use the name Black, should we use the name diversity, but my point of view is that, listen, if we're going after a certain audience, we need to say it, and so that's why we're going after the Black Golfers Week. One thing that we've decided to add to that is we're going to have some clinics for those who may have never played golf before.
Terri.
What a place for Terri. So what an opportunity for people to come to Bermuda and learn to play golf. Now, some may say, you're starting at the mountaintop and it's going to be hard for you to go play other places. But, we have flights every day coming from many locations throughout the United States. So we would love for people to come and play golf, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year.
I love it. So honestly, not only did I feel like I can find a place in all things BTA related, I definitely think it's a great thing that we have Bermuda Night at the US Open, because it's now going to give me a reason to travel to New York for the US Open, other than Jacky forcing me to go. So,
I was about to say,
other than Jacky forcing me to go or encouraging me, inviting me. So Charles, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, ladies. And this is real early. I do want to note this is show number 66, and this was my first invite to the show. But
Hey! I'm putting all of that on Sean Jamal.
Hey, we do not throw people under the bus on this show. This show is very light and it is very fun.
Okay. All right. I want to apologize, Jacky. I was supposed to get a joke for you to tell, but I shirked my responsibility.
Don't worry, we have the Black Golf Week, and so you got plenty of time to prepare yourself, find some jokes, because we'll definitely have you back.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us, Charles.
Thank you, ladies. All right, have a great day.
Have a good one.
You too.
Oops,
that was my bad, y'all. The technology. I tried a thing, and I was like waiting to pull them out. Anyway,
it's good to use our have a good day,
Bermuda. So let's take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with our feel good vibe of the day. You do not want to go anywhere.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert. And if you're just joining us, we just wrapped up our conversation with Charles Jeffers, the CEO of the Bermuda Tourism Authority. Today is Bermuda Night at the U.S. Open. And for those of you that are not in New York and you want to still enjoy Bermuda Night, make sure you head over to this link on the screen. It's also in the comments on Facebook, and we will post it to our Twitter as well as YouTube. Will add it to the comments afterwards so that you can see it as well, because we're about to wrap up today's episode and it's time for joke time with Jacky. As Jacky's telling her jokes, I'm going to bring in some of the comments that we have from our conversation so that they could be on the screen while I'm laughing at Jacky's jokes. Over to you, Jack.
All right. So what happens if you eat yeast and shoe polish? Sorry.
What? Yeast
what
and
happens?
shoe polish?
Yes, though you shouldn't eat it. But what happens?
What happens if you eat yeast and shoe polish? It turns brown.
Every morning you'll rise and shine. Okay, next one. What do you call a car with two legs?
A car with two legs. A calf.
Lean meat.
I love that word, lean meat.
Oh my god. What do they call cans in Mexico?
I'm not even gonna try. Get ahead, because
Mexicans.
The funny about that is it's literally Mexican. So like she needs to say a different word. She just put a little emphasis on a different part of the syllable. I love it. Okay. As always, we hope that today's Feel Good Vibe has you ready to make it a great one. Thank you for watching this episode of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert. We trust we'll see you tomorrow for another Feel Good conversation. We are going to be discussing the fact that there is a different standard for Black women, and we will also be celebrating Beyonce and the evolution of her music. So make sure you join us. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.